Hey everyone, I'm Ian. I'm up here in Toronto, working with City Youth, Church in Toronto Youth. Um, Not able to make it to your workshop this weekend on small groups, but Phoebe asked me to have a little input. I'm always glad to do that. Um, I've been working with youth since 1989, and the reason I got involved in the first place was that somebody asked me if I would like to do it. And I remember my own high school, junior high years very vividly. And so I still remembered a lot of the experiences that I went through, and I felt even from that standpoint, I could always help young people and at least remember what I went through and help them with what they were going through. So I jumped at the opportunity when it was presented, and what started as an opportunity developed over the years through more and more serving of young people in different localities, different countries, and today, after 25, 26 years, it's really a ministry that I've been given by the Lord. Uh, what does City Youth look like in a regular week? Usually 5 o'clock each Saturday, we come together as the serving team. We have about 20 or so who are serving City Youth, junior high and high school. We come together. We fellowship concerning what we're doing that night, what are the things that are coming up in the future, events that we're doing, organizing that we've got to do, responsibilities. We break things down into junior high, high school. We have a team that takes care of the junior high, a team that takes care of the high schoolers. Saturday usually starts around 6:30 for the youth, where they're arriving, and they have their meal at 6:30. Usually by 7:30, we're ready to go. We have our singing time, which is usually around 40 minutes. After that, we have our message, which is divided up into junior high and high school. And I usually give the high school message, on occasion a few others, but on the junior high side, it's a shared burden. The message usually is around 30 to 40 minutes, and after that, the rest of the time is devoted to small groups. Small groups are broken up into gender groups and also grade groups. So that's what we do at City Youth. We have a good number, 60, 70 in total, that come, on a fairly regular basis. And we have second generation church kids. We have first generation people, friends of kids, lots of youth who come from different churches. They don't meet with us on Sunday morning, but they do meet with us on Saturday night. So that's kind of where we're at for City Youth, and I hope that gives you a little bit of an intro of what we're doing. Hey, let me just hit on one of these other questions here. I think is absolutely crucial, because I think as those who serve, we have to recognize the limitations of our service. So it goes this way: how do you help young people who are going through major struggles, parents' divorce, parents are fighting, mental illness, difficulties fitting in, those kind of things? I think that we've gone through a number of these situations in Toronto, and I think if you would have asked me 20 years ago, I would have had a different answer for you than I have today, having passed through all the experiences. 20 years ago, I might have just said, "Oh, help them to know God better. Help them to know God better. Help them, to touch God, and everything will be okay." And that's an oversimplification of a very complicated situation. So what I've learned over the years is to recognize that there are limitations that you and I have. We're not trained. If you are trained in either social work or psychiatry or some of the other disciplines that would be able to help people, that's fine. But the majority of us are either in engineering, or we're in some of the medical sciences, or things like that, or accounting, and that just does not account for some of the, let's say, mental challenges that some of the kids are facing. So two things that I would definitely suggest is, you as a youth group, or as a youth leader, or as a small group leader, make sure that you are a huge support for them spiritually, and also just socially, so that you can help them just in their person to move forward. They may not have the the boldness to say, yeah, I need to go and see a psychiatrist, or I need to talk to the social worker at school, because, the stigma attached to that. And so I think what is really, really helpful is if you could just be that support that they need. Recognize and even say to them, I can only take you so far, and in my experience, what's better is for you to see someone who has professional training in this area. Now, it's entirely up to you. You can talk with the other youth, workers, or the youth, your youth team. Um, Find out, are there any Christian psychologists or social workers who you would recommend. I know we had a big help in Toronto here with Esther Martin. She was plugged into our community and was able to direct us. So when certain young people were having difficulties with anxiety disorders or suicidal thoughts, drug addictions, things like that, we've been able to really point them in the right direction. But I would say, know your own limitations. Do not try to be something that you're not. The best is to recognize your limitations, recognize who you are, work up to that the boundary of that limitation, and once you've reached it, you keep that up. You keep supporting them as much as you can. But then in their new adventure, or in that new journey that they've got to take with the new person, the psychiatrist, social worker, whoever it is, just support them a lot. And if it's driving them there, or just being there, hearing what the person has to say. I mean, I remember one time, one of our young people got into trouble, and they were in lockdown in a hospital, and I just had to go and visit that person. And when I was there, and they didn't like the fact that they were there, but just to help them to pray, and just to recognize that God was doing something, and they came through that thing. And it's really, really helpful, in spite of all that they're going through, in spite of the fact that it doesn't quite fit into our model of what a Christian should be, but just recognizing this does happen, and it's going to happen a whole lot more going forward. So just be there for them, recognize your limitations, and then support them any way you can. Hope that helps. I want to address that question on what is the biggest learning since I've been serving. That's helpful. When I first started learning, serving, I was probably, idealistic, and maybe some of you are at that stage too. But eventually, what you find out is that the work that is going on with young people and in young people is God's work. And as much as we'd like to shape it, direct it, all the rest, ultimately it's God's work. The difficult thing can then become, okay, I've been working with someone, or I've been, serving someone for, could be 5, 6, 7 years through their junior high school years, and then, they're just gone. They just get totally distracted or something like that. The tendency for us is we take that really, really personally, and that's a good thing, because it does show that you are investing your person into them, and it was, of course, it's your time and your effort and your resources, all these things. That's awesome serving, but still you have to take a step back and say, you know what, I am not their savior, and ultimately it's their responsibility. Every young person is equipped with a will, and whether they decide to follow Jesus or not is really up to them. It's not up to us. You can try your best and you can do everything you want, but you can't make them follow God. So I think that's been one of the big learnings for me, is we do the very best that we can. I approach every person in exactly the same way. I want to pour out everything I can onto them. I want to equip them the best way I possibly can, give them as many opportunities as I can. But ultimately, the decision is theirs, whether they choose to follow God or not. And sometimes the difficult things for us is to recognize when something has just gone wrong somewhere along the line, and they were just kind of hanging on and waiting for a certain age or change. So it could be from high school going into college, university, and then they just say, you know what, that's it for me. I'm gonna try something else, and so I think from my standpoint, what my learning has then been is how do I continue to stay in contact with that person, encourage them, even just remaining friends with them, keeping up that contact, because you don't know when things will change or turn around again. So big learning for me, because I was just devastated when things just didn't work out for certain young people through the years, and it's been helpful to recognize that there's a God part in this. Big part is God, but people do, they just kind of sometimes walk away from God. And as I say, I mean, the difficulty is we do take it personally, and I think that's a good thing. I just had one of the sisters in our serving team this couple of past weekends ago. She was taking care of someone, and something happened, and she was so upset. And you might say, well, why is she so upset? She's so upset because she's personally invested in this person, and something was about to take place that she didn't even know about. We're talking about something like baptism. So she was upset because no one had told her that this person was going to get baptized. And anyway, just recognize it's the work of God. He's doing His work. Sometimes His work is not using you. It's using somebody else. That's also okay. I think if we can learn anything, we can take anything away from our serving, is that whatever we do, whatever we say, is always unto His glory, always for His glory, not ours. And ultimately then, if someone does, go to a different church or move to a different country, you just know that whatever it was that you put into them, whatever time you invested with them, it's to His glory. It's not really about you at that point. It's really about their relationship with God. Okay?